I'm so happy there's some people that said they couldn't make it that are here. That's so exciting. Hi. All right. Oh, we have, I think there's still going to be some people trickling in, but want to be conscious of everyone's time. I want to give us plenty of time to chat and connect with one another. So if it's okay with all of you, I will just jump right in. I put a little presentation together and then we can have a couple roundtable discussions and just, yeah, reconnect after all of these years. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. And let me get my presentation going. Okay. Everybody see okay? Awesome. Thank you for the thumbs up. So welcome to the Algalita Summit Advisor Reunion. Annika actually came up with this idea about a month ago. We were talking about how to really get back into rebuilding our community and connecting with the educators that we had worked with in the past. And we're building up a brand new program, Wayfinder Society, which I'm going to tell you all a little bit about at the end of this. But I just thought it was such an incredible idea to see your faces again. And there were some advisors that did respond, but weren't able to join us. So Crystal Ambrose from the Bahamas, she sends her love. She wanted to join, but the timing, of course, for some of the international advisors is really tricky. So if you are an international advisor, I am very grateful that you were able to join today. Also, Thaddeus from Nairobi in Kenya wrote and wanted me to tell everybody hello, that he's sorry he couldn't make it. And of course, you know, Annika, she's sends her love as well. She has family in town this week. So I told her that I would be happy to do this event. So just a few shout outs. Also, Dory Hess from Ohio was going to join us today, but unfortunately couldn't make it. So they all say hello. Hello. Just really happy to be here. So just a quick, I know we're all so familiar with this being educators, but reminders for Zoom. If you can rename your video, it really helps us to know who's in the room. If you're comfortable, please have your video on. It would just be so fantastic to see your faces, although I know some of us need to be in the background for many different reasons. If you could possibly mute when you're not speaking, that'd be fantastic. And then I also just want to note that our session is being recorded. One of the things that we are aiming to do better at Algalita is kind of capture the events and all of the trainings and everything that we do so we can share them with people who were not able to participate. And then use the chat if you all want, to chime in, send an emoji, whatever. I'll be checking it out. And feel free, to use the hands raising and all of that. So with that, I know you all are likely familiar with me. I do look different now. My hair is brown and not bright blonde like it was when you all maybe saw me at the events. But I am the executive director at Algalita, Katie. When I first did the event in 2014 and 15, I was the education director. So I took over the organization in 2016 as ED, and I'm just incredibly grateful to be able to lead such an incredible and authentic organization. And again, I know you all have been to our events, so this is just a quick slide, a reminder of what Algalita's vision and what our mission is. Over 3 decades of working toward a world where plastic pollution is unthinkable. So we really specialize at designing educational experiences that empower individuals, but also giving them those tangible tools to participate in the solution as well. What's really special about Algalita, and one of the reasons why I I'm just checking the chat, why I have been so drawn to working with this team and so in love with the mission is because this organization has always been about connecting people, whether it's students with other students or educators or in community, it has been at the core of all of the programs that we've set forth over the last 3 decades. So this is going to kind of come back later when I talk about our new program. But first, speaking of community, luckily this is a nice small group, and normally, we don't have the time to kind of introduce ourselves, but it looks like there's about 6 advisors in the room, which is a fantastic turnout for, having international participants as well. So I would love if everyone would just do a quick introduction. I put up here on the screen, if you could share your name, your city, state, country, what were the summit years that you attended, and just a little bit about the student teams that you brought. And then at the end, if you could describe your summit experience using just one word, I would love to know what that word is. So if anybody wants to kind of jump in, or if I can call names, whatever you all feel comfortable with.
I'll start, Katie.
Okay.
Can you hear me? It's Pamela.
Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name's Pamela Weinstein. I was working at Rogers Middle School in Long Beach, California, and I brought 3 teams to the summit. I've since retired from the school district, and I'm working with an environmental organization now called Schneider Electric, which goes into school districts and municipalities and makes them greener. So I'm super excited about that opportunity. Today's actually my 3rd day of work. And so it's very strange and lovely to be in a new in a new opportunity, and grateful to be able to have that. But when I was working with my green team, we went to the summit 3 times, I believe. It could be 4, I can't remember, but like going and getting into POPs was like a big deal for my green team, and those kids worked so hard to be admitted, and they knew it was a privilege. I took 2 sets of kids there that were working on reducing balloons in the world and advocating for people to use less balloons. And then I had another team that was working on with farmers markets and getting banning plastic bags at the farmers market. And then there was another team, my very first team, and I cannot remember what they were doing there. I know that they had a really good time in their hotel room, and I had to manage them more than one time. But I think that, the summit provides inspiration. So that would be my word. And it was always awesome to be there. And it was such a special time to be able to be with other people and other like-minded kids, so they can see that they're not alone in doing what they were doing. Because sometimes those projects were slow going, and the kids had a hard time convincing adults to see what they were learning. So yeah, always special. I hope that it returns.
Thank you so much for sharing. We are hoping it returns too. And I'll talk about that a little later. Appreciate it. Anyone else want to volunteer?
Where's my roommate, Lisa McCarthy? She should go next.
I can go. Was I the year when you were trying to rope in the kids? I don't know. I was trying to rope in mine. Hi, everyone. Good to see you. My name is Lisa Jordan McCarthy. Okay, so the first team I brought was actually from Intellectual Virtues Academy. They were 6th graders, and that was 2014. And they were the youngest at the summit. I remember it was like they were babies. And their project was essentially zero waste, like to have a zero waste lunch. So they wanted to make a competition, or some kind of plan to check people's lunches and have them bring reusable containers and offer a big prize. So that was my first time. And then I was in, that was 14, like I want to say 16 on for different reasons. I am the Dean of Education at Maple Village Waldorf School and one of the founders of this school. And we've been super happy to be partners with Algalita all these years. And the team I brought then was from our school, 7th and 8th graders, and their project was writing a song called Refuse and Go. Excuse my phone, I'm not going to answer it. refuse and go about not accepting anything that was not going to be reusable. And they wound up writing it. We got a musician to put the music to it. We went into a recording studio and we recorded the song, and I still have it somewhere on my hard drive. And the next year we were invited to come perform it. So we did that. And then I brought another team, and their project was called Second Chance. And we had a food bank at our facility, and we is no longer with here anymore, but we also paired with Long Beach Community Table, and their project was to replace plastic bags at food banks with reusable bags, so that people who went to food banks could bring their bag back over and over instead of having plastic bags in parks and going down storm drains. So and then I wound up coming, Katie, just as a chaperone for my own kiddo, Jude, who was helping to entertain, to direct the summit as a peer, as a student, and then my son Cole, who was filming the event. And so I wound up being kind of chaperone for the youngers that didn't really want to chaperone. So I had more freedom. And yeah, I think one word for me, oh my gosh, these summits meant a huge amount to me. And I think I told Annika, and every February there's a smell in the air that brings me back to the summit, and I start crying. So for me, I think the word is moving. I cried every time to see and hear a room full of teenagers from all over the world, so passionate about our environment and aligning values with, you know, what I feel inside. I just am incredibly moved. So thank you for including me and us all these years.
Thank you, Lisa. I've cried every year. I don't know how I'm going to get through today without crying, but I will do my best. Anyone else want to volunteer?
Sure, I'll go. I'm Lindsay Mullaney from Ventura, California. And at the time, the group I brought we went, I think it was just pre-COVID. It was either 2019, 2020. Was there a 2021 maybe?
No, 2020.
Yeah, I think that was the last one. And it was a small group, just 2 girls from Foothill Technology High School. And they really wanted to do work district-wide for Ventura Unified to eliminate the plastic waste that's provided by the cafeteria. So kind of a little twist is instead of what you're bringing to lunch. And they just kept running into so much bureaucracy about, you know, these plastic sporks are so much more affordable than having the real thing, or the hassle of having students bring their own, or, you know, and then with COVID, it was like, oh, forget it. Like, it's going to be single use or nothing because germs, you know. And they were so inspired by being there, surrounded by peers that were doing incredible projects. And then, you know, that was the year for the viewing of The Story of Plastic. And so they were all hyped up and like, yes, let's do this. We want to host a community viewing and let's roll. And then boom, COVID. And it just never, you know, got off the ground, didn't get a chance to happen, unfortunately. But they had a wonderful time there. And I know that really made a big impact on them. You know, I still hear from them about, you know, the blue marble. I gave a blue marble to my professor. There was one of the guest speakers that time presenting it with his book, and that whole just idea of how impactful water is and how universal it is, and has an impact on everyone, whether you're living by the ocean or not, right? In so many different forms. So I guess impactful maybe is my word to describe it.
Thank you so much. And so I have my blue marble with me. Actually, I brought it. I'm like, this might be the only thing that stops me from crying today. Remembering that like stillness that he spoke about at every event. And yeah, one of my most unforgettable moments is every time we did the Blue Mind presentation, for sure. So thank you for flagging that.
Of course.
All right, we have just a couple left. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I'm Jacqueline Omania, and along with Mary, who's also here, we brought kids from Berkeley Middle School, kids from 2 different middle schools, and they worked really, really hard to do the project because they had to do work on the weekends to collect the data for it. Our project, well, these youth had also advocated for the new law in Berkeley, this disposable free dining ordinance. So they were monitoring the rollout of this project, and so of the move to reusables within the city. And they'd sort of done all this mapping, divided the city in quadrants. We're doing people on the street interviews. And so we got to go to Algalita. And it was really wonderful. We were matched up. I love how you matched us up with like age kids, because they were on the younger end. So they were like 6th grade, I believe, Mary. Yes. Yeah. And then we were matched up with kids from the Bahamas. So we, that was just an amazing match for our kids. I became friends with Crystal, like ongoing since then. And I think the word I have would be connection, because of both that physical connection, but working with this topic, the plastic pollution, it's a really hard topic. It's, you know, plastic is ubiquitous. You just feel sometimes like you can't make, you know, an effort, like it's unavoidable. It's just so hard and heavy. And just to see so many kids from all around the world, like on the same cause, was just uplifting for them. And you kind of made a hard topic enjoyable. And, you know, knowing to tackle these bigger problems, that how important connection is. And I mean, connection largely happens virtually as they get older, but to experience the physical connection, I think is really important. And I only went to one. I was so excited to keep coming, and, you know, and have more experiences. I really do hope it, I mean, I know it's, you know, in some ways more eco-friendly to do it virtual, but I think for the younger children, or just the youth in general, just having that person-to-person connection has such a huge impact, you know, in their lives over time, that I do think it's worth doing again in the human form way. And I'll toss it over to Mary, because Mary actually has a student who was in our group. Her own daughter was in the group, and she can share from here.
So Jackie took my word, because that was my word also, connection, but I can try to think of another one. So yes, Jackie and I teach together, so we have that connection, but also she was my daughter's teacher, and my daughter was one of the 4 of the kids that we brought. And it was such a powerful experience just to see all the different age groups from all the different countries and all the different projects. And I don't know, it made you feel a part of something so much bigger than yourself. And so that was very exciting. And it's always fun to see the pictures. And one of the pictures that came through was my daughter Alicia and her friends on the ship, on the boat, on the catamaran, and it just brings back so many great memories. So it was a wonderful experience.
Thank you both for sharing. Thank you. And yeah, I'm already inspired to start thinking about bringing it back in this new world that we live in. You know, lots of new challenges, looking at international collaborations and things, but I'm already feeling inspired just from the introduction. Thank you. Ben, I think you might be the last one.
All right. Well, I just wanted to get some energy from all of y'all before I take to the mic here. My name is Benjamin Kay. I teach at Santa Monica High School. I also do a professorship at night at Santa Monica College. I teach science, and I have come to a number of summits over the years, and I honestly, I've lost count, and I'm kind of in the middle of rearranging all my different hard drives. So I usually arrange all my photos from the events in all these hard drives, but they're scattered across multiple different computers at the moment. So I can't pinpoint which, but I think we did a cameo visit in the very first event that was, I want to say, in like Long Beach, and we stopped in, and we had just worked with Marcus Erickson on helping complete the junk raft and a number of other vessels that we worked with him on, plastic-based vessels. So we did like a little cameo, and I lead a group named Team Marine. And so Team Marines attended that first one, or I should say visited. Then we went to Dana Point several times, and we had various projects that were entered, including banning of single-use plastics from the city of Santa Monica, also trying to get a drainage net placed on the Pico Kenner storm drain as a filtration system to preventing plastics from entering the ocean. We have also done a message in a bottle exhibit at the Dana Point location, where students kind of erected like an interactive experience where people enter a bottle and they put on a goggle set and they see the first flush, all the plastics coming out of the storm drain. And we paired that with various art installations that we did around the city on the 3rd Street Promenade in Santa Monica, where students had community members sign pledge boards, as well as petitions to admit their single-use plastic sins and zero-use plastic sins, and then make pledges to change their behavior and products. We've worked on a number of pieces of legislation over the years in partnership with Algalita and Five Gyres and Heal the Bays and Surf Riders. And so for my students and me, coming to the summits have meant being close to all of the movers and shakers, feeding off that wonderful energy, learning the latest and greatest from some of the expert speakers about where we are in one policy moving through the state or local governments versus another, learning how we can always improve our behaviors and move on to more highly evolved products, living, and kind of trying to figure out how we can encourage industry to, do benign by design. These are all, and then just basking in the delight of some of these rock stars like, Katie Allen and Charlie Moore. And there's definitely an energy and a connection with some of the people who've been in this movement for a long time. And it's just nice to sit and be among those people, learn from each other. Obviously, someone said connection. I would just say keeping the stoke, alive. Stoke is what I look for. And I think that that's what also my students have felt. They felt stoked meeting people from other countries. They feel stoked about hearing Wallace J. Nichols, talk about his Blue Mind. We're stoked to hear about, Charlie Moore and his latest, escapades with whatever battle he's waging in the middle of the Pacific, or, and the Marcus Ericssons. And it's just, and the Anna Cummins, and it's just such a team effort. And so maybe a second word would be village, right? We're a village, and you learn, you learn that you're not alone, and that's comforting and empowering and inspiring. And so I am also grateful to Algalita and many other NGOs that have helped us find our way and give us that fuel, eco-friendly fuel to move forward in this fight against single-use and zero-use plastics. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. That was super inspiring. And I like the find your way comment, because that's where we're headed as an organization, the connection, the village, all figuring out how to rebuild this beautiful community that we've always had, but strengthen it as well and make it sustainable. So I'm super excited to share with what we're doing in the future. But before that, I still want to reminisce and indulge in some summit memories. If that's okay with you all, I'm going to share my screen again. And let me get my presentation back up. Oh, sorry. Starts from the beginning always. All righty. So I thought that this was going to be a really powerful slide. This shows over all of the years that Algalita has conducted the International Youth Summit, how many students have participated, how many projects came out of the summit, and how many countries were involved, and a map to show that we are across the entire globe, which is just an amazing thing. It's a really nice visual to know that what we have built, what we are going to continue building, is a global community. It's global connections. It's and not just between students. We really are inspired to strengthen the connections between educators across every single country you see on our map. So I thought that was a really neat slide to be able to show you all. And then I want to take some time, and I hope my video is working. I wanted to give a big shout out to Cole McCarthy, who was our content creator and cinematographer for the 2019 and 2020 summit. One of my favorite, most unforgettable memories was actually seeing the short recap videos that he put together for us those years, because I didn't think it was possible for somebody to capture like the magic and, you know, everything I was seeing and feeling, and then to see what Cole created was just amazing. And we look forward to working with Cole in the future for many of our other projects. But I'm going to play just a little bit and let me know if y'all can hear the volume.
Welcome to day 2 of POPs 2019. We're in beautiful Dana Point, California. I'm Jude, this is Cosmo. Today we're going to have several speakers and workshops to get students more educated and knowledgeable to make an impact in their community on plastic pollution.
The thing I want to tell you all, the most powerful testimony always comes from the voice of youth.
So I thought it would be nice to kind of see the visuals and the students and Charlie. Oh, I'm already crying. Okay, let's go into a roundtable discussion. I think after all of these years, a lot has changed. The world has changed. The only reason why the summit stopped was because of everything that our world was going through with the pandemic and the challenges of really bringing people together in person, especially from across the planet. You know, and I think there's a lot that I realize now that I didn't realize at the summit, but I would love to hear if any of you are willing to share. And if it's too emotional or too difficult, I totally understand. I did send these out ahead of time in case you all wanted to think about your response, but does anybody want to share kind of their perspective on this question?
I can go. Sure. And thanks for sharing the video. It makes me miss my kids. I think something as an educator that I realize now in thinking back, and I know I talked a little bit to Annika about this a few weeks ago, is, you know, we have this delicate line to walk as educators, meaning that we want our students to know there's a problem and we want them to advocate and we want them to get involved and we want them to feel empowered and all the things that we know we want by coming with our kids to the summit. And also there's this true concern about putting too much on them too soon, and which could impact their own mental health. Meaning, you know, if they, you know, really are carrying around the magnitude of the problem, just thinking about how we can manage that. Like, where do you find the middle ground of, yes, there's a problem, yes, you can do something. And we always talk, right, about like, find something you can accomplish, don't take on too much. And then kind of mitigate their depression about where is our world going, and this isn't looking good. And if the city council doesn't listen to me, or if the students at school are still bringing this stuff, if they're still mixing their plastics, if things aren't changing, like how does that feel for them, and how can we as educators support them in that? So that's just kind of something I've been thinking a lot about, is finding that middle ground of, yeah, there's a problem, but don't worry about it so much that you can't stop thinking about it, because we're the adults and we need to handle this. And yes, you can help. So that's kind of something I think about after.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to chime in? And it's okay if you don't want to.
So it's interesting whenever I hear about people talking about how the youth, I teach kindergarten, and so I'm constantly having this dynamic with myself of, oh, how much do I share? How much do I want them to know? How can I monitor how they're feeling about that? And so, you know, in a lot of ways, I think that they can handle a lot, but it's true to remember that, you know, we don't want them to take on the responsibility of it. It's, yeah, we can all work towards a solution, towards solutions, but just not having it be too much for them, I think. And that was more from listening to Lisa than it was from the summit. But anyway, that was, I guess, an add-on to what you're saying. Yeah.
Just to add on to Lisa, I think just that experience of seeing all these young people, like in the physical, like being there with them together, it really helps mitigate a lot of the anxiety that kids have, you know, that yes, the problem is so huge, but maybe there's a chance with all these bits and all these projects happening, that there's, you know, I don't know the exact word, but things would be better.
Hope.
Yeah, hope.
Yeah, over the last few years, Annika and I have thought a lot about the mental health aspect. And in fact, it's something that we're striving to make fundamental in all of our new programming that we'll be rolling out. In fact, there is a woman that we've connected right here in Long Beach who studies eco-psychology, and she hosts like ecotherapy sessions, and which she doesn't even call it ecotherapy, because she said eco-anxiety is normal. We're seeing our planet be destroyed. It's normal to feel anxious about that. It's normal to be scared, you know, and have real conversations about how the knowledge and deep understanding of these environmental and social issues are really resonating and living within all of us. And so I think that is another big reason. And when I talk about what we're doing with our programming at the end of this, why Annika and I and Algalita have really decided to make a big shift towards focusing on supporting educators and empowering them to build the true connections with their students, because there's only one me, there's only one Annika, there's only one Algalita. So how can we actually empower educators to make sure that students are all of their needs are being addressed, and that they're having that connection with, you know, the educators or teachers that are helping them through the process. So it's really great to hear that that kind of is the number one concern, or, you know, thought that comes to mind with that question, because it's something that we are very dedicated to. Anyone else would like to share? All right, I'll share my screen again. I'll have to quit doing this, actually, going back and forth. Anybody know how to start from the screen that you're on? We'll just go back. All right. So thank you so much for sharing. It's incredibly inspirational. I reached out to some of the students, actually. So got a few videos from some special guests. I'll have to turn it up all the way to make sure that you all can hear, but have a few messages for you all.
Hey, this is Victor. I just want to thank all of the past summit advisors. Without you, none of us would have had the spaces back home to come together and fight for change. You empowered your students, put in the effort to support their ideas, and provided the love and passion for them and you to take a stand. 7 years later, after my first summit, I can proudly say that each and every one of you shaped who I am today. Shout out to Mr. Luna and Ms. Gutierrez. Hope to cross paths with all of you soon.
So we've stayed in contact with Victor. He's about to graduate actually from UC Berkeley. He studied environmental economics and policy. So he stuck with it, very inspiring. We also have a message from Dyson Chi, who just recently won the Walking Softer Youth Leaders Award. So he's going to be spending the next year focused on building his nonprofit.
Hi, adult advisors. My name is Dyson Chi, and I was one of the peer advisors at the POP Summit in 2019 and 2020. I just wanted to send you this video to let you know that I really appreciate your contribution in allowing your students to continue to do the things that they care about, because not only does it help them, it's allowed me to continue to meet your students, and I've actually kept in touch with a lot of them throughout the years. So thank you so much again for all that you do for your students and for all of us.
So I loved about his video, how he talked about they still keep in touch. There was always something that Algalita was like, how are we going to get these students to stay friends? Like worried about it. Like it wasn't just going to naturally happen. And it did. It's so amazing to see. Even some of the groups like Hawaii is flying out to the Bahamas to do a project with students together. And, you know, that concept of organic connection and that healthy connection, I think was always something that if I had to say what I didn't realize at the summits, what I realize now was that we didn't have to worry so much about, are these students getting enough education? Are we training them to make change in their community? How are they going to be friends after this? It was like organically really just happening. And the most important thing was to provide that experience to let it happen organically. So I kind of wish I would have known that back then. So I wouldn't have like been stressing so much about every tiny little aspect of how the event was running.
But just to tag on, Katie, I mean, you kept them fully busy, and that's really important at that age. Like, you know, the program was so packed. We were up early. You know, we were engaged with my group went to Dyson's class. And so you kept them like intellectually challenged the whole time. And so, you know, they had all those shared intellectual experiences, which made the social connection productive. You know, so if there'd been less, you might have had more, I don't know, I don't know if nonsense is the right word, but you know, stuff like that happening. I still think it's just incredible. Like, you know, who does that? Puts 200 kids together in a hotel for 2 days and everything works out just fine, you know? So,
and like,
yeah, so I think you needed that, and you had a good, you know, to keep them very busy at that age is really important.
Thank you for sharing that. And it's insight for the future as well. You know, after every single summit, I thought to myself, how did this go so smoothly? You know, and I really do believe it. So much of it had to do with all of you, the advisors. I would never do a summit where we just had students. Like that seems like the craziest thing ever. So that's another kind of thought in hindsight, is that you all were really the most important people, because it could not have happened without you. We would have never attempted to just have a youth summit with just youth. So thinking forward, you know, about our relationship with educators and tagging on to the fact that, you know, our strategy is now really looking specifically at empowering them. We just couldn't have done any of this without you all. So thank you for that insight. And yeah, you know, this question actually, from the response of the last question, is very similar, I think, to what the discussion that we were talking about. Has your perspective, expectations, or your approach of engaging young people in environmental movements changed over the years? And I'll kind of just start, because one of the reasons why I even added this discussion question was to share with all of you the similar feelings and thoughts that you all have already shared about the mental health aspect, and also the expectation, I think, especially before the pandemic, that many people had of youth. There was quite a movement especially, with Greta Thunberg and lots of other youth activists who are very, very powerful and talented and setting, bars, I think, where other students looked up and they were very inspiring, which is such an incredible thing. But we do have to find that balance for the students who do want to just participate as themselves with the talents that they organically bring to the table, and thinking about the relationships that students have with their teachers and with their parents. I think that by empowering the educators to be that source of almost like that rock, that steady, solid, safe place for students, but helping educators also feel that themselves. So in moving forward with what we're doing, it's not just about the intellectual part of what's happening in the movement and what's happening with solutions, but also empowering educators with tools that they will need to help address these really challenging feelings that their students may be bringing to them, or maybe may not be bringing to them. How can you recognize that maybe students that want to engage, how can you recognize that they're struggling and reach out in an appropriate way? So we're really excited about where we're headed, but that's one thing that really changed for me over the last few years is my approach of engaging young people has completely changed. And I believe that they need a lot more of the emotional support than I think we've provided. When I say we, Algalita has provided them in the past. Does anyone else want to chime in? I know this one is actually quite similar. Ben, I'm really curious. I don't mean to put you out there, Ben, but I'm really curious if your perspective or approach has changed, because you have always, when I think of an educator who engages their students in activism, Ben K you are the first one that pops into my head. I'm curious after these, especially being away from school, from social distancing and whatnot, do you think your perspective has changed?
Nope. I was bummed about the pandemic putting kind of a damper on progress, slowing things down.
Mm-hmm.
I started 17 years ago with Team Marine, and momentum was just firing. There were fireworks going off. Our city banned single-use plastic bags, owed in a good part to young people, testifying and marching and doing all these things. And then we started taking an inward look for a while. And I think, so to answer the question, I could talk for hours on this, obviously, Katie. I'm happy to talk offline about any and all of the things and my mindset now. But I think scale, the scale of your projects continues to kind of, several years ago, I had an epiphany. I was like, oh my gosh, Team Marine was working for a long time at the city level, right? And dabbling in what was going on at the state level. And then we realized that what was going on right beneath our feet on our campuses was just recycling was a joke, let alone what we were purchasing as a school. And so, trying to then understand, well, wait a second, the solution is everywhere. It's at all these different scales, both in time and space. And so it then resonated with me that we need to address plastic pollution solutions comprehensively, holistically, right? And so coming and spending time at the Algalita Summit, for instance, you'd see projects that were trying to make progress at different inroads, right? At these different scales. And some educators knowing and understanding we have to have the big picture, but some of us, including me, I was stuck in the the city level for a long time. And it was great. We made great progress there, but then we weren't making progress in our own school. So nowadays I try to get students to kind of like think about the macro picture and then try to understand that each of their projects might be working at a different level toward the macro change, kind of like macroevolution is made up of various microevolutionary forces, right? And so it's about really understanding, like, what are you doing, understanding that level. And then I wanted to just touch on that whole eco-anxiety thing. Yeah, I think screen time and social media and TikTok and all these things have, especially during the pandemic when there was all this like time when students were by themselves and at home, that increased the depression, anxiety, let alone the eco-anxiety of inaction on a global stage, let alone the local ones. Yeah, there's a lot to be depressed about, but what I try to get my students to focus on is taking all that negativity, deflecting it, channeling that negativity into something positive, and helping them understand, like, this stuff is depressing, and having real authentic conversations in the classroom. I actually just had that yesterday, funny enough, with my AP environmental science class. I'm like, guys, this stuff is depressing, isn't it? Right? So you have to balance, and I really appreciate what you said earlier, several people, including you, Katie, which is you've got to spend some time taking care of yourself, because you can't fix the planet if your health is not good, right? That's very important for students to understand. Number two, we can't fix what we don't understand. And so there is this thing where, like, we don't want to do harm to our kids by exposing them to all the bad, right? So it's about giving them a balanced perspective, like, hey, there's this bad stuff, but hey, there's also some good stuff. So being balanced in how we disseminate the information, and giving them showing them solutions that are happening, right? Just to balance out all the bad stuff. I think equally important is also making sure our kids spend time in nature, right? Jacques Cousteau famously said, people protect what they love, right? So if our students have been in their bedrooms for the last 3 years, or much of it, and they're just starting to come out, we need to get them into nature. So field trips, getting them camping, anything for them to connect with nature to form that bonds, because according to science, what makes us happy is time spent with other people, time spent doing things for other people and other species, right? And what makes us happy is time in nature, especially with friends and family, and add productivity in nature. Maybe that's a beach cleanup, who knows? Something. So my philosophy is connecting the kids with nature, also making sure they understand what's going on. And I know that there's like a resistance to like telling your kids all this bad stuff, but I've actually been polar opposite. I want them to know what's going on. I want them to know all the variables, because we can't fix what we don't fully understand. And the more we understand the bad, the better we can execute a solution for the good, right? So that's what we talk about in my class. And I'm also happy to say that the BLM movement has really brought in an environmental justice component across all the NGOs that I work with today. And that's awesome, because we can't forget about the people who are affected the most by plastic, manufacturing. Plastic pollution are not people who look like me, but BIPOC communities. So I'm really happy, and that just brings in, it brings, I think, greater inclusivity to the cause and the want to be part of the movement, because this isn't just about, fixing plastics, upstream reduction and downstream effects. It's about making sure we safeguard all of our people, like all humans, all species. And that attracts a lot of people who maybe view this subject through a social injustice lens, right? Great. this is part of our movement, and that's great. Now everybody's on board, right? Because this isn't just an environmental issue, it's an environmental justice issue, which is a social justice issue.
Right.
And that's all my ramblings in my head for now. Let others speak.
No, it's great, and it's so much of it resonates with things I've learned as well, you know, over this journey. And it's that's what it is. It's a journey, right? For everyone and all of us. And I appreciate your insights and sharing all of that wonderful knowledge, and so wise after all of the years. I mean, all of the educators, so wise after all of the years of working with the students in the way that you have been. I know we're getting closer to the 5 o'clock hour, so I want to make sure that I'm able to at least give you all kind of a sneak peek of where we're headed. But before that, a couple more videos. One in particular, we have Jude McCarthy, who is Lisa's other son, who was a summit attendee, a peer advisor, and he's a content creator for the summit. You'll see him in all of the videos, and he has just helped Algalita grow and evolve ever since he was like 10 years old. So he has a short little message that he sent.
My name is Jude, and my first Pop Summit advisor was actually my mom. So special shout out to her. It takes a lot of work to support a team of kids like that. And all the advisors have made such huge differences in the students' lives by supporting them and showing them what it looks like to be really passionate about a cause. So thank you to all the advisors.
We love Jude. And Jude is at UCLA, correct, Lisa?
Yes, he is. And it looks like he needs to shave.
I noticed about a lot of the videos, I was like, wait, I still envision them all as like 11-year-olds. So to see these videos, it was really special for me as well. But yeah, I can't even thank you enough for always bringing him to the office for all of the peer advisor meetings and just everything. We wouldn't have been here without him. He just has done so much for us. So thank you for allowing it to happen.
Thank you for impacting his life. He's now a communications major, and I think a lot of it is tied into what he was, the messaging and trying to get the message out. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, he's gonna do amazing. I cannot wait to see what happens. And just one more quick video. Anshul, you all probably recognize her because she is always running around with us. Me and Annika, she's an event organizer. There's so much of the youth summit that happened because she knew which cables to plug in. She knew how to use the computer. She was really just our incredible organizer. So her quick message.
Hi, my name is Anshul Bhaskar, and I used to sit on the youth board at Algalita and help run the peer advisor committee at the youth summit. So I firsthand know how important the teachers, parents, club advisors, environmental leaders were to guiding the students through the plastic pollution fight and through every struggle they encountered. Your enthusiasm, unwavering support, willingness to basically run with any idea fueled our passion. You were truly instrumental to our growth as activists as well as individuals. So thank you. Thank you for everything you've done and everything you continue to do. And a special thank you to the Algalita team, especially Katie and Annika, and Mrs. Conti and Mrs. Cozy for raising me to be the person I am today.
Just like love seeing these. And I felt like Anshul really always helped us with this idea of community. Jude, everybody, Victor, when the students came together, this concept of community and connection. And then, like I said, we are moving forward with those exact words as like our guiding principles. And we put together a short little creative deck that explains kind of the heart of where we're headed, why we worked hard over the last 2 years to redesign our Wayfinder Society platform, which was originally our main audience was for youth. And now it is going to be for educators to support their youth. And I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek of that in a moment. But before I do, here's kind of the heart of the program. So humans are nature, and nature is all about connection. The sum of parts becoming whole, dependent on each other to thrive. We know that we are best when we are together in community. The parts that make us unique become brighter in fellowship with others. We create new paths. We transcend the impossible. We rise. Now is the time to come together, to use the power of connection, of imagination, of optimism, to bring our collective vision alive. It's the way of nature for us to be together. For nature shows us that everything is better with community. You are better, we're better, everything is better. So let's begin. Journey side by side, because we're excited about where we're going. And we'd love for you to join us. Wayfinder Society for Environmental Education. Journey together. So thank you. I'm seeing that. One change that you may have noticed, for those of you who had heard about Wayfinder, we changed the name. It's not just Wayfinder Society anymore. It's Wayfinder Society for Environmental Education. So it's very clear on where we're headed, why we're putting this together. And so what is it exactly? Well, it's a dynamic, free online platform that includes environmental education lessons, activities, toolkits for interactive classroom learning, plus the holistic support for the environmental education community. So it's much more than just a website. We're literally building a community, and we're going to be having online events just like this and offline events, hopefully like the summit again very soon. And what I'm going to, real quick, there's two pieces to it, because I do want to just pull up, want to be mindful of everybody's time. And if anybody has to go, I am recording this, so you can check it out after. We have two sides of Wayfinder Society for Environmental Education. We have the materials, which is the lessons, the toolkits, and the student hub. And then we have the support side of Wayfinder Society, which is the how-to guides, educator and student grants, and community news and events. Now, what I'm going to do very quickly is, real quick, how do I get out of my slideshow? Is I'm going to quickly show you something. Can you all see the website? Because it's not even live yet. So it goes live May 23rd. And we're still working on it. There's still a ton of different pieces that we need to put together. But like I mentioned, we have the materials, you have your lessons and labs. So, and everything is free. In fact, everything is downloadable. It connects to Google Drive. So all of the lessons are either Google Docs or, whatever. So you can download, you can edit them yourselves. There's there's going to be over 40 lessons. So you open each lesson, they're all aligned to either NGSS standards or AP environmental standards. So you can see down at the bottom, kind of gives you the instructions, what the associated standards are for. So these are all to do in your classroom, which is really exciting. The toolkits are hands-on materials. Like some of you are probably familiar with the DSI kit or the plastic pollution kit. We've started building out a lot more. So here's the original kit that we send out. We've done a synthetic sand lab. We have a story of plastic screening guide and experience guide. We're creating a microfibers kit. So all of these are free for public school teachers. I think we have grants to send out about 100 a year of each category. So these are going to be available for educators. Guides and insights. This is going to be where we're going to be helping teachers better understand maybe how to teach about plastic pollution if you're inland, if you're in an inland state and you're not near the ocean. What are some ways you can do that? How can you help your students deal with the eco-anxiety? So these how-to guides are a little bit more, some will be more philosophical, some will be more tactical. And the really cool thing about the guides and the toolkits and the lessons is that we want to co-create them, not just with our partners, we've already been doing that, but we want to co-create them with other educators as well. So there's going to be a ton of opportunities for educators, not just to use our resources, but to actually contribute to our resources as well. Community news section is going to be where all of our events and our videos are posted. This is where We're going to celebrate educator grants and student grants and the projects that people are doing out in their classroom. I know a couple of you, we've already reached out. We're going to be doing spotlights on educators just to celebrate everyone's efforts in the community. The events page will have the events. And then again, the mini grants for teachers, that's going to be on a nomination basis every other month. You can nominate yourself, you can nominate a peer, you can be nominated by a parent, it's a student. You do a spotlight and you get a mini grant to support your efforts. And then the student hub is actually still what we had designed for the original Wayfinder Society with a few little tweaks. So there are still the actions, and this speaks to, like Ben, when you were mentioning earlier, that balance between the knowledge and again, we're still working on the website, but the knowledge and the action. There's going to be over 25 actions for students to do from their local level all the way up to a global level to participate in. And instead of earning points like they used to, they are able to learn service learning hours, which we thought was a really nice kind of tweak to the program, because they can use those for, classroom purposes, and even on, resumes or in any of the academic documents that they may need to submit. So we have new videos we're launching, and yeah, there's just a ton. There is a ton. We're so excited about where this is headed, and the idea really, really is to build the community. And I just wanted to flag, again, it's not just a program, it's a community. We want you to be a part of it. We want any educator you think that may be interested in co-creating classroom lessons, maybe adding to the how-to guides, sharing your stories, efforts, and lived experience with us, nominating your peers for the spotlight or students for the award program, and really just helping us spread the word, joining events, bringing colleagues to events. We're hoping to really build this up to the point where when we start having youth summits again, so much easier to continue connecting, to continue learning. And it's not just that one amazing event, but it's something that is part of a much bigger, cohesive, connected program that will be international as well. So just to flag the next events that are coming up that we're going to have before our launch. So again, the website does not launch until May 23rd. We're going to have Charlie, Captain Moore, as a guest speaker, and it's going to be more of like a fireside chat, right? He's not going to be doing a presentation about his work. He wants to connect with the educators, especially after some of the strategy discussions we've been having at Algalita, how we really do feel like you all are the most important allies in our mission. So if you're interested, and all of these are free. In fact, everything Algalita does is free for educators and students. And these are all Zoom events for the time being. And then on April 22nd, we're going to have an environmental education roundtable discussion. So educators, just like yourselves, will have a few questions that we can all just share our insights on and connect with one another. And then Tuesday, May 2nd, we're going to be doing a deep dive, so pre-launch, where we're going to look at some of the content of, what exactly are the educational objectives and what are the lessons and labs about. We previously did a sneak peek of the program in full, which was recorded and is going to be posted on our community news website. So I'll send that to you all so you can kind of get a walkthrough through that. But we're super excited. We feel like we've learned a lot. You all have really been the inspiration behind how far we've come with this particular program. Because we really did have that realization that we cannot do this at the scope that we want to impact this issue without educators. We cannot. So we thank you so much for everything that you all have put in. And of course, you all have our contact information, but reach out anytime for anything. There's like a specific Wayfinder Society newsletter that you can sign up for, where you get all of the notifications for the events, when the mini grants are opening up, just everything that's going on. So I'll follow up just to make sure that you all are signed up for that. And then just a thank you. And if anybody has any final thoughts to share before we close out.
I just wanted to share one thing. It's kind of an offering. It's I'm putting it in the chat now. The title dropped earlier, but we participated in a global video that touches on a lot of the themes we talked about today. So go ahead and watch it. My class is at the very, 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 very end, but it's a good one.
Nice. Awesome. I see it in there. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, if there are no other final thoughts, I will just leave you with the last slide, which is so true. Educators are our greatest allies toward a cleaner and safer world. You all are such an important part of our movement, of all movements. And we just want to thank you so much and try to provide you with anything we possibly can to help you not just do the jobs that you've chosen to do, but really enjoy the jobs that you've chosen. So thank you all. And I can't wait to see you all again, especially in person.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. Looking forward to those resources. So excited for the new website.
So thank you.
Katie, how does it go down to kindergarten, or what grade level, what age are you starting?
I mean, the thing is, all of our resources can be adapted for younger ages, but the website and most of the resources were designed for like middle school and high school, even some college level. That's why we aligned it to the AP environmental standards. But there are many things you could absolutely adapt the kits, especially the hands-on toolkits for any age.
Okay, good. Yeah, thanks. It's beautiful. The website's so like user friendly, like you want to go into it.
We've been working on this for the last 2 years. Like
Yeah.
we can't wait for it to launch, and we're actually hiring a brand new position, an engagement director, to help us build our educator community and do more of these events, because Annika and I, again, it's just kind of the two of us still. So we're really excited to grow our team and head in this brand new direction.
Nice, really nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks a lot. It was great to see you. Great to see everybody.
All right,
care.
we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you. Bye.
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 Bye, everyone.